Hello and welcome to Spin a Good Yarn. My name's Sophie and this is a channel where we talk about knitting and spinning, a little bit of sewing sometimes. I'm a little bit backlit, but I thought it'd be nice if you'd be able to see my spinning wheel and my drum carder in shot. So yeah, hopefully it's okay. It's kind of coming in from the side. Today's going to be a really WIP heavy podcast episode. And I'm also going to try and keep it quite short because we are in the middle of an atrocious heat wave in the UK that is just unbearably hot at the moment. But I did want to update because I'm trying really hard to focus on some of the enormity of the WIPs that surround me. And I also wanted to do a little acquisitions update before it gets too far through. So we're going to get started on WIPs. The first I have are this pair of Scrappy quilt socks. These have been like a bucket list knit for me for a really long time. I saw the yarn on Instagram, the Diara's Tiny Human Knits, and I had to get it. Like, it was one of those things where you see it and you're just like, I need to have this in my life. So I'm finally knitting it up. I got it last year and I'm loving it. I am finding, so I've got mostly sock tube and then I'm doing an afterthought heel. I am finding that this yarn is giving me a slightly tighter gauge than usually I would get for fingering weight yarn. So I'm having to do more foot length than I would usually do. I normally do 60 stitches on the foot and I think I'm up to about nearly 80 now. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Normally my gauge is quite predictable. It does also mean the sock is quite tight, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. My socks often get looser with wear, so I think that that will be fine. I can still get it on and over my heel and things. So these I am having a bit of a focus on. I want to whip down a little bit at the moment. I haven't got loads of knitting whips, but I have a lot of just like general whips. So yeah, that's whip number one. And I'm doing this one like in work meetings where I'm not needing to be presenting, when like I'm taking my son to like soft play, anything like that, D&D. So these are my little bag of portable projects. Then my main whip I really can't knit on at all at the moment, because it has mohair. So this is my Roma vest. That's what it looks like. I'm holding two yarns together to get this sort of marling, speckling. It's kind of a little bit difficult to show with the light coming through it, isn't it? I'll hold it up to you like this, like ball up, so you can kind of see a bit more of the colour. So I'm not going to put it on my lap. I'm using a hand spun yarn by little Blue Fern yarns. Yeah, and this one is in the colourway Arctic, and then I'm holding it together with the Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the colourway Cream. And it's a DK weight knit. It's taken me quite a long time, but if I'm honest, I'm really struggling with the fact that I'm having to knit it in such hot weather. I think I hadn't anticipated when I cast it on in May, I think it was May, how quickly we were going to get into summer weather. I think I just misjudged it and thought, oh, I've got loads of spring knitting time left, and I really don't. So I don't know whether this one like might need to hibernate for a bit, because I've been trying to knit it in between sort of hot weather, but I'm really just not making very much progress. But that's my second whip on the needles. And then I only have one other knitting whip in progress, and it's really not much of anything. It's more that both of those two are now at a stage where they're very mindless. My socks are intentionally mindless, and so is the cardigan. So I just started this little piece of knitting here. Let's hold it up so you can see it again. Sorry, the light isn't doing wonders, is it? Try holding it up over here. So this one is the Night and Day Cowl by Andrea Mari, and I'm using two different colours of my own hand spun. This is what they look like in the ball and skein. And that one I'm just picking up every now and again because it has just a little bit more interest to it than just the plain stockinette or the plain back and forth slip stitch pattern of the Roma vest. So I'm only knitting on this one when my brain needs a bit more stimulation. But I've got to be honest, at the moment, my work is super busy. So in the evenings, I mostly want knitting to turn my brain off rather than engaging knitting. So it hasn't had very much work on it, but I think it's a nice one to have in the background. And this is a little project bag it's in at the moment. This is a new to me project bag, so that's also exciting. Then, so yeah, those are my knitting WIPs. Let's do sewing next. So I have two sort of pieces on the sewing camp to show. One is a WIP, but one is not yet started, but it has plans. So the WIP I have is this cross stitch. So I am cross stitching a quilt square pattern. I'll show you. I haven't got a colour photo. I'll put a photo in for you. But this is going to be a wall hanging, so it will have a number of different quilt square motifs across it, and I'm going to frame this one to have in our new house. I've obviously completed the first motif and not done very much of anything else yet. This is something I would like to work on whilst it's this hot. I think cross stitch is a really good one whilst it's warm, because the threads are small, the process of it doesn't require anything to be on your lap. So I think I need to kind of prioritise this WIP. Then the other sewing pattern I have, I haven't yet done anything with the tool, but I bought the Apothecary Pocket by Thread and Yarn to make up a little project bag for me. I don't think I'm going to do the waistband. I think what I'm going to do is close off the handles here and have it like a sock knitting bag that I can pop on my wrist and knit from. So that's my plan. And I got these fabrics here to make it with. I don't think I'll need all of these colours, but I wanted to have a nice little palette to be able to pick from. And all I'd really like to do with this WIP at the moment is just decide my colour scheme and cut out my pieces. I'm going to be probably hand sewing this. So yeah, the barrier for me is often just getting the pieces cut out. So step one is to choose the colours and cut the pieces out. So the next WIP that I have is actually behind me on my wheel. I'm spinning two different fibres completely and then plying them together, and it's my first spin on my Kromsky, so that's really exciting. So I'm plying together this single, which is come from a bat that I bought at the Great British Fibre Festival? No, it's a big flock, and it's got loads of these like pops of colour in it. It's really pretty. And I'm plying it together with the blue that you see here, which is hand-dyed fibre combined with Angora that I blended together on my drum carder. And this is what it's coming out like. If I bring it right up to you. I'm just going to give you a better view down here. So this is how it's coming up on the bobbin. And I'm really enjoying it, if I'm honest. So we're getting all of those different pops of colours. The pink is kind of subtly just like lightening the blue, but it doesn't really look as pink in the bobbin itself. And the Angora seems to be behaving itself. So we'll see what that turns into. I'm thinking maybe like a little shawlette. But yes, that one is good fun. And I'm just, I have an extra bobbin. Oh no, that's an actual bobbin. I was like, why don't my bobbins fit on my lazy cape? It's because this one was on, I've been plying it on my e-spinner. So I needed to make up more of the blue fibre with my drum carder before I could continue. I just estimated it and didn't quite make enough. So I have some more that I've made over there, which I will spin up on my wheel and then ply with my Ashford again. I think that's going to be one of my quicker WIPs to finish, because I want to have all my wheels empty before Tour de Fleece, which starts really soon actually. I thought it started later in the month, but we only have 2 weeks, so I need to get on it. So my other like big spinning project is this one. So this is a fleece that I processed this year. It's a Shetland Cross Romney, and what I've done, I'm doing a sheep sweater video for this, but I've separated out the colours into the darkest pieces of the fleece, the medium tones, and then the closest to white tones, and I'm putting those together to make a 3-ply yarn. I've actually made one skein, but it's not in a skein. It's not too pretty to show you because I've wound it up to do some swatching. But I need to fill this bobbin to like the equivalency of these two and ply these all up before Tour de Fleece starts, because this together with what will come on here represents half of the fleece, and I'd really like to spin the other half of the fleece during Tour de Fleece, but also have some space for some like snacky spins in between. So I really want to get this one sorted. I think I just need to work my way through my Angora experiment with my Kromsky first, because that one's taking up a little bit more brain space for some reason. I think because this is so, it's whether or not it will look consistent as a yarn, but it's such a consistent process. It's the same fleece. It's a little bit of a worsted style, a worsted leaning woolen prep, if that makes sense. So it's on a drum carder, so it can't be true worsted, but I did try and keep the locks aligned and keep the fibre aligned. But because it's got that little bit of mixing that happens with the drum carding, it's a really easy spin. It's been a really enjoyable spin. So yeah, so I think that will fly, but I need to finish my little spin first. And then the last thing I have is this tiny little spin here that I've only really just started. This is my new supported spindle and what should be a candle holder, but what I'm using for my supported base at the moment. And I've just been learning how to support spindle recently, which has been good fun. And I think this is what I'm going to do for my challenge days in Tour de Fleece. So I don't want to finish, I have a whole 100 grams of fibre. I would just like to spin up this first little piece that I have so that I feel comfortable with it. Just enough so that I will actually pick it up on the challenge days. So I think those are all my WIPs. So as you can see, it's quite a lot of WIPs going on, isn't it? Especially given I want to finish as much as I can within the next 2 weeks. So I think I'm probably going to be filming like a WIP down video. So if you're interested in seeing how I get on, follow along there. But yes, a lot going on in the WIP space. Finished objects, I actually only have one. I will fetch it and show it for you. So I'll cut that in now. So the only finished object that I have to share with you is this one. This is my Roni blouse, and it is knitted up with Tiny Human Knits Scrappy Quilt mohair set. I got this for Christmas. It's gorgeous. I'm struggling to hold it because it's hot and I don't want to pop it on me, but this is what it looks like. So yes, I held the mohair double throughout, and then the white pieces are Knitting for Olives soft silk mohair held for the accent pieces with their merino, and I'm really happy with how this came out. I think it's going to be such a gorgeous piece to wear in the autumn. But that's the only thing I finished other than spinning WIPs for a while. And then last, I just wanted to talk about acquisitions and plans. So we talked about my Scrappy quilt socks. They are the second to last sock skein that I have in stash that are with me. So we're staying at my mum's currently, so I don't have all of my yarn stash with me. Even with that said, I only actually have one other skein that isn't with me of sock yarn. So I was like, it's time to buy some sock yarn. I feel like I've deserved it. I've used so much yarn and I have gone a little bit overboard. So not like majorly, but just a little bit. So I wanted to jump on the Zauberball kind of trend that I've seen loads of people knitting with this. I've looked at these so many times in my local yarn store, but the one that actually got me to pull the trigger on it was an Instagram post where I saw someone stripe the yarn with itself. I think from pulling from the inside and the outside of the skein, and I was like, I love it. It looks so cool with the self-stripingness of these anyway, and the self-stripingness of it. So it was just gorgeous. It was beautiful. So I think this is going to be my next sock cast on, is to get this one all, and it's a shame because they look so pretty in the ball, but I think I'm going to get it all skeined up and do some pretend striping with itself, or real striping but with itself. And then I treated myself to 2 skeins from Tiny Human Knits, and there are some more on the way because I have no self-control. But I got this set here, which is her Nearly Nautical set, and I did get a 50 gram. Whenever dyers do a 50 gram, I always go for the 50 grams because 50 grams is plenty for me to do a pair of socks. And I like to kind of use up most of what I have. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It's a green with white, but in the white you can kind of see there's these speckles of other colours. So I think it's going to work up beautifully. It's also quite a nice summery one. Then the other one I picked up was this one, which is Winterberry. And this is a set that she put together for last year's sock advent knitting. And again, I've gone for the 50 grams in this one. And I'm probably going to save this one for closer to Christmas time. I'm planning, I think, this year on not getting an advent like I did last year, but knitting the whole of December, knitting socks, because on average it takes me 7 days to finish a pair of socks. And I have 2 Christmassy skeins. The last sock yarn I haven't knitted with is a Christmas themed sock yarn. So my intention is to have 4 skeins by the time we get to the 1st of December, to knit a pair of socks a week through December. I think that would be so fun. So yeah, I bought this one as my Christmas self-striping skein. Oh, I should say also, I'm planning on all of the yarns I knit with for Christmas to either be self-striping or self-patterning. So yeah, I have one self-striping that I bought for December and another one in there. I should also talk fibre, right, for acquisition, so give me a sec. Okay, I have my fibre. Well, I have some of my fibre. So fibre has definitely been making its way into stash at the moment. This is, by the way, the rest of that fibre that I'm spinning up with my supported spindle. So this is what the whole of it looks like. This is my anticipated is going to be my Tour de Fleece challenge spin. I also have these 2 that I think I've spoken about before, that I picked up from the Big Sheep, that are going to be a little snacky spin, apply them together for Tour de Fleece. So I think you've seen everything else that's in my fibre bin. I've just got some add-ins and the rest of the Nelly and Eve that I've been putting together with the Angora top and making into my little, wherever it's gone, my little blue bobbin. So that is what that's turning out like. So the things I think you haven't seen are ones I picked up from my local fleece fair. So apologies it's in plastic. I kind of don't want to take it out, but I might just take one out for you. Here we go. So these are little rolags. I've taken 2 out, but there you go, little rolags. They're so pretty. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see the colours a bit better. I feel like that's a little bit easier to see. So they're these little rolags from a local fibre artist to me, and I bought those ones to spin up in Tour de Fleece just as a fun. I've not spun from rolags before, so I thought that would be a fun experience. I also think this may well be the spin I spin with my Kromsky, because my Ashford's going to be very busy with fleece processing. And then the last thing I got is this, which is from Cariad Luxury Wool, and it's Gotland. I've never spun Gotland before. And this sheet is called Pip, and it's done in like a pencil top roving style from the mill. And yeah, it just feels really nice and sheepy. I thought it'd be nice to spin a breed I hadn't spun before. Again, kind of as a Tour de Fleece challenge, but also just like sometimes it's nice to have something a bit different. And I think I'm just going to spin this one straight. I have a couple of other like neutral colours that I've spun out recently, and so I'm kind of saving some neutrals to potentially work with something collectively. So those are all of my spinning fibre acquisitions and my yarn acquisitions. The other acquisitions I have, we could go down and see them. Would you like to go down and see my sheep fleeces? This is Mummy's sheep, thanks for helping. So this one in here, this is Freckles. This is the portion of Freckles that has been washed but not yet picked. And Freckles is a Jacob / Pole Dorset from Clappering Raw Fleeces. And oh, you can't literally, she's like an enigma. This is what she's looking like. And this is unscoured, but I am going to start scouring this one. Good helping, darling. My second sheep's fleece is even darker shade of light. Hey, darling. And this one in here is an almost black fleece. It's gorgeous. It's from a breeding ram called Bertie. Bertie smells like a breeding ram. He's going to be processed after Freckles, I think. And then this is my last fleece. This is half the fleece. filming with babies. This is my last fleece. I'm going to pull it out for you. This is a shearling, which is super exciting. So it's lamb, it's the second shear. And this one is... What? A sheep. This one is Scotland Cross Poldal Silk. I was just about to leave to go pick up my son and I realised I didn't show you anything about my plans, and I did want to just reflect on that a little bit. So this is the swatch that I made from my hand spun, and this is hand spun combined with Rowan soft kid silk mohair, I think that's what it's called. And this is on a 4mm needle. I then also did a swatch on a 4.5. This is what it looks like on a 4.5. I actually really like it on a 4.5. I think this is probably the best of the swatches that I've done. It's kind of hard to see the pattern in this colour, which I was just experimenting with. I was really curious to see how a black would work with it. And I think it's a combination I definitely want to do something in this year, with a white, potentially hand spun, and a black mohair. I think it's really pretty, but I don't think it's the vibe for the pattern I'm going for. And this I'm almost certainly going to knit a Dagmar jacket with in the 4.5. This still doesn't actually meet big gauge. It would need to be even bigger to meet gauge, but I don't think I would go any bigger than this and lose some of the definition. I'm pretty happy with the definition of my hand spun, by the way. Like, I don't think it looks overly hand spun. Then the other swatch I made is commercial yarn, and this is a swatch that is, I managed to switch my sides halfway through. This is a swatch for the clay tee and Knitting for Olive Pure Silk held double, and I'm off gauge on this one, but I'm going to knit a size above to meet my requirements. And this is what I'm considering casting on as a 4th knitting WIP, purely because my current garment WIP I'm just struggling to work on in the heat. But yeah, I will use this opportunity to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're bearing up in the temperatures of 34 degrees. That's what we have down here. And yeah, I'll see you guys again soon in my next video. Look after yourselves until then. Bye.